Kia ora, my name's Andre Katori and I'm Head of School for Te Rewa o Puanga, School of Music and Creative Media Production. So creative media production is film and television, producing and directing, visual effects, creative technology, game and animation. What's a constant is storytelling, and I think that's what you get within this programme, is that ability to understand meaning and tell great stories and improve people's life or challenge them. So I think storytelling is paramount, and learning good storytelling gives us the ability to shift old paradigms and challenge the world, and especially in a world that's really changing at the moment.
The Bachelor of Creative Media Production is unique amongst the offerings that you'll find at similar institutions around the country. And one of the things that makes it unique is the fact that it's composed of 5 separate pathways. And they are creative technologies, game, film and video, producing and directing, animation and VFX. But the interesting thing about the structure of the degree is that those are recommended pathways. They don't function as majors. So the degree is designed to allow students the opportunity to move both vertically and develop specialisation and depth of knowledge inside a single pathway should they choose, or to move across those pathways and gather together other kinds of interests to produce a creative portfolio that is unique to them. The first year experience is focused primarily on skills training. Regardless of which of the 5 pathways the student might eventually end up in, all students have a couple of courses in common which are designed to introduce them to key concepts around the production of creative work in this country and internationally as well. So we're both nationally and internationally focused. Inside the pathways, the students focus on developing work, starting with small projects, individual pieces, and moving to larger group projects. And across the first year, the focus is developing practice inside group work, so the students become experienced in working alongside colleagues and producing works that are larger in scale than those they might put together by themselves. Second and third years further cement and embed the skills training that they receive, and the projects are increasingly larger in scale and outward focused. So by the time the students arrive in third year, the desire is for the students to engage with external clients and be producing work for audiences outside of the institution, for external clients who provide us with client briefs that we produce work for, and increasingly for festival circulation where possible as well. I think from the first moment that students arrive in the degree, the focus is on expanding their opportunity to engage with practice, regardless of the fields. So for first year, students will be encountering guest lecturers, so most of the work will be occurring inside the framework of the degree, and this is to ensure that the skills-based training that they receive here is properly supervised and occurs within a sort of a safe learning environment. The focus on first year is particularly on providing students with the means to experiment and to develop their practice beyond what they might ordinarily think is possible. But from second and third years especially, we are looking for outside engagements, and those can take the forms of international exchanges, and so we have a very vibrant international exchange program, current conditions notwithstanding. We bring in industry guests, we provide opportunity for internships where possible, and we supervise students who engage in internships to ensure that the learning outcomes are being met while they're working off campus. In the third year, where the entire year is oriented towards producing the large graduate project, the focus is on engaging with external clients in some form, and that may be where the client provides us with a brief and we produce work to that brief, so documentaries or advertisements or other kinds of advertising collateral. Or it might be in some cases where a film festival approaches us and requires the students to produce work in response to the requirements for the film festival. So there's an opportunity both for students to develop work that they personally have an investment in and are interested in seeing through to completion, or engaging with external clients and producing work in response to a provocation that they may not have come up with themselves, but need necessarily to work inside. There are 3 types of courses that the students engage with. The first are those core courses where the students, all of the CMP students, move through blocks of training around key skills to do with considering media as a sort of social practice, to think about working with story worlds and narrative material, to think about other kinds of concepts to do with creative practice. So those are the kind of core skills everybody does. Alongside those are the pathway-specific studio skills, broken into the 5 pathways I mentioned earlier. And then there's the opportunity to bolster both of those offerings with a further set of electives, which can either come from inside the college, including the School of Design, for example, or come from outside, anywhere in the university. And we really encourage students to look beyond the school and the college to consider other kinds of electives, because the more diverse information they bring back to the creative village, the richer the projects are as a result of those. I think it's fair to say that the degree program is one of the best equipped in the country, and the students produce phenomenal work from the outset, not least in part because they are trained in how to best utilise the equipment that we have gathered around us in order to ensure certain kinds of work are produced. It's also worth pointing out that the degree is focused as much as it is on training on particular pieces of equipment to ensure that students gain skills that are transferable across equipment and across software, so that as equipment and software changes in the industries they seek to enter, they have flexibility inside the skills training that sees them able to move with changes in their workplace environments. One of the things that I'm very keen on about this degree is that it doesn't just produce students who are excellently skilled, it produces students who are thoughtful about their practice and their training, so that the CMP graduates are not just excellent at what they do, they're aware of why they're making the creative decisions they are. They have that kind of intellectual thoughtfulness about their practice. These are thinking, deeply thoughtful, skilled practitioners. Students are supported in lots of ways, and some of those are very visible, and they're to do with the sorts of teaching structures that exist, the access to lecturers and to tutors, the technical demonstrators, the support they have around the utilisation of equipment, the kinds of access both during hours and after hours that they have to the facilities to continue to make work, because the focus is on making a lot of work. And those are very visible, and we like to celebrate those. Behind those are the institutional structures that support students to do with all of the other kinds of academic and pastoral care that might be provided to students. But behind that again, and this is the invisible bit that I was talking about, is the degree structure itself. And I think that the degree is designed to provide students the opportunity to experiment and take risks, while keeping them safe from being penalised should those experiments not work out as anticipated. And by that I mean the first year of the CMP program, particularly, every course is marked as pass-fail. Students don't get graded, they only get pass-fail. And that's a deliberate teaching decision designed to encourage people to take a risk and experiment with a creative practice they may not be familiar with. And what we often find is actually students arrive thinking they want to be one thing, and they take a risk with a course because they realise that actually they don't need to do fabulously, that they just need to pass, and they discover a new passion that lay dormant otherwise. And we see these incredible flowerings as students take these chances, supported by the degree program and the staff, and head in directions that none of us had anticipated. And that's fabulous to watch happen. One of the really liberating things about this degree is that we encourage people to arrive with whatever experience they have, particularly if they've had no experience. I think that matters most for this degree is that the student cares about creative work in some form. All we need is desire. Everything else is taught. So no introductory courses presume prior knowledge. It's great if you have it, but you certainly don't need it. If you have a desire to be an animator, for example, and you've never tried it, this is the place to come and start. And so everything starts here. We begin and we develop, and then we flower. There are a series of very obvious career pathways associated with the training pathways that occur inside the program. So students who study animation, for example, often go on to work with animation studios in production and post-production. Most obviously, film and television students get work on film crews and documentary crews here, overseas, and production houses, students who train in editing or in sound. So as the students design their specialist pathways, most obviously they move on to find employment in those industries, and the college and indeed the School of Music and Media has a very high success rate with regards to student placement and employment. But the other thing that I think is also worth mentioning is that inside the degree are a series of courses that are focused on developing transferable skills. So all students engage in a number of courses which develop trainings in project management, for example, in production skills, in other kinds of group management and people skills, those things that are sort of often harder to teach but occur as a result of working inside group projects. And students find their way into arts management jobs and into other kinds of careers where those skills are a priority. So the students gain creative skills in the production of media, but they also gain creative thinking skills to enable them to work well with other people. Creative media production is in the process of growing and developing a postgraduate offering. So at the moment we have a 4th year and honours year. So a student would complete 3 years of a bachelor's degree and then come for a 4th year, which allows them to develop further expertise and specialisation inside their practice. That would typically result in the development of a semester-long creative project. And we also have a Masters of Creative Enterprise. And unlike other Masters programs, this is focused both on the development of creative work, but also the recognition of this as an enterprise task. So here we're thinking about both making the thing, but also commercializing it. So the students are gaining sort of career development skills alongside the further deepening of their skills-based training. I'm a recent arrival in these shores. And one of the things that excited me about this place is the people and that kind of human engagement. You know, the people are here because they care. They care about their practice, they care about their students, and they care about each other. You know, and I think that's rare and it's worth preserving. But on the surface, it looks like it's producing creative practitioners, but actually it's training resilient, creative people. Actually, I mean, to that end, you know, I think one of the interesting things about this degree is the fact that beyond university entrance, there are no other entry requirements. You know, so that is there to help remove the possible barrier to entry as a way of ensuring we have a diversity of cohort. You know, this is a place for people to tell stories they couldn't otherwise, or that haven't been told before, stories that speak to communities that aren't otherwise represented.